There are a lot of good students there. This is you call him Bobo?
Oh, everybody calls him something else.
Yeah, that's about the third.
Boo-boo.
Boo-boo.
And Carter calls him Revis. I call him Revis sometimes.
Revis.
Call him, I don't know. They wanted to call him Max.
Max. Well, I know Carter is proud of that dog.
He's pretty good. He was only had him for a couple months.
Is that right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you got him from shelter?
No, he was a purebred dog.
Oh, really?
He was kicked out to pasture. He was going to be a stud dog.
Really?
But he got too big for his miniature size. So they sold him. And he'd never lived with humans, so he was really skitterish.
Yeah.
He was definitely afraid of the big people.
That's hard to believe because he just seems, I mean, Carter said he was a little, last night he was skittish, but...
Look at the way he's eating. Like, he used to take every single grain of food and take it to the next room and eat it.
Is that right?
And now he's just like a regular dog, but it's taken him 2 months to eat his food like that. But still, he's kind of funny. He backs away from the dish.
Yeah.
Better than taking it piece by piece in the next room. We think that he probably was intimidated by bigger dogs or something like that.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, Karen, you showed Tuppence Boo-Boo. Bobo?
Boo-boo.
Boo-Boo. You showed Tuppence Boo-Boo. Because she likes to, she's got that little West Highland puppy now, and it loves to watch television.
Oh, God. That's
So she's gonna love Boo Boo.
So where is Carter's puppy when this would be here?
Yeah.
Did you get sugar?
Yeah, I did get some.
Carter doesn't usually even know what sugar is.
I got some of that, some brown sugar. Videotaping. You know, I want to get this. That's a beautiful shot with your hand up like that. That is really artistic. It's just click, you know, bam, and I got it. And you use 400, 600, film, and you got plenty of light for it. You don't even need a flash. You use the high. Tez, who you envy so much, whose work you envy, whose creativity you envy so much. So I'm interrupting her breakfast, so there's a couple of seconds left. Okay. It's
This book is called How to Sell Your Art Without Selling Your Soul.
Yeah.
By Carol Michaels.
Yeah.
I think it's Henry Holt publisher.
Uh-huh.
And she should definitely read that so that she can understand how to sell the work. Because you gotta, I mean, I didn't know. So you just gotta take like lessons, you gotta take baby steps, and you gotta start selling the work business-wise. You can't be an artist when you sell your work.
You can't be an artist?
You have to put on your businessman's head. You can't be like just the creative person who's selling their work. You have to be when you're making the work, you have to be the creative person, and then when you're selling the work, you have to forget that creative person and become a business person. And you have to take lessons how to do that. So it's good to read these books. There's a lot of books out, and that one is the one I recommend the most. But
Great.
You just have to do it. You have to learn how to be a businessman, just like Cardi.
But she may have, depending on the type of art that she's got, there's a lot of different things that you can do. Because we tried, for instance, Teza is in her heart is a fine artist and kind of a New York gallery type.
Now they call it derriere-garde. No longer the avant-garde, we're the derriere-garde.
Derriere-garde.
It's not hip to be avant-garde.
But anyway, Teza is more like the one-of-a-kind New York gallery, high fine art type stuff, which is the hardest stuff to sell and the hardest place to break in.
Mm-hmm.
But early on when we decided to get her stuff off the ground, I saw those little Caribbean pictures and said, well, why don't we just make these into postcards and posters, and we'll sell them. And we can, in discussion we talk to a lot of different people, and one avenue for artists is to kind of go commercial and make note cards and posters and stuff like that. And so we undertook to do that, and we spent about $8,000 or something like that on posters and note cards, and then she drew some more angels. We thought, and she likes the angels, and so we drew some of those, and those were, you could understand what they were. The stuff that you'll see this catalog in is abstract and not realism. But realism is a whole market. There's a whole world out there for realism. Now, if Karen, if you're doing, when you said last night she was doing like the Old North Church and boats and birds and stuff like that, well, that's a different market and a much more saleable market, an easier market to sell in than these things that Teza does, because there's only a handful of people that are even interested in the abstract stuff, but everybody wants birds and you know, nice boats and houses and stuff like that. 10 times easier to sell. So therefore, there are much different and greater opportunities and avenues to sell that kind of stuff. Depends on your price range. I mean, if you're in the $100 to $400 range, it's a lot different than if you're in the $2,000 to $10,000 range. You know. So if your pieces are for $10,000, then you need a real good gallery to sell that kind of realistic art. But you can certainly sell it, especially if you get it. And generally, in art, the higher the price, the more hype and the more name trip it's got to go on. You got to build up a reputation, and you got to have a beret, and you got to be, you got to be famous and all that stuff. Whereas if you're just selling something, if you're just selling like these little note cards like Teza made, then you know they're $1 a piece at the store, and you know you can, posters are $15, and you just try to get them out to as many people as you can, and they put them in all those stores, and then. But I can tell you that it's a hard road.
It is.
It's hard.
Really?
We did 8 posters. We did 8 cards and 6 posters, and we went to New York, and we paid $1,500 to go there, and we sold one $5 poster in New York.
Wow.
And then I went around Florida trying to sell these nice cards, and
they're beautiful.
I was only able to sell them in about 1 out of 10 stores that I visited, which is not worth going. And I was going to have to get into a series of 48 more, and changing them every 6 months, and doing more, and printing, and you got to get into this whole thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, that trip is very difficult, and people recommended that we do it, which is why we did it. But I mean, you need to decide what you're going to do, and then but once you decide what you're going to do, then you can set out in a methodical way, and over a period of a few years, you can build up. I mean, you can definitely sell your stuff if you just are clear about what you want to do, and then you approach that particular market in a proper way, and get yourself some places to sell. I mean, like if you have good boats and birds and houses and Old North Church, you can sell that stuff from Bar Harbor to Washington, D.C., all along the Mystic Sea and all that stuff, and just over time you sell these things. But if you're going to try to do something that nobody knows what the hell it is, and it's some kind of weird colors, and it's just abstract and ethereal, then you've got to go to New York, Santa Fe, Atlanta, and there's only 15 places in the United States that you can even begin to sell stuff like that, and which is why I thought that it was surprising. Yeah, Provincetown. There's some places in Provincetown you can sell that stuff.
Yeah, we had talked a little bit about that before. I'll talk to her again. And
it's pretty finite.
What's that?
I mean, it's pretty finite. I mean, there's a lot of information about art and how to sell it, and you can. I mean, you can find out about it depending on what you're doing and what you want to do.
Yeah.
Then I'd say it's pretty finite. And the most important thing to do is, in my opinion, after being in it for 5 or 6 or 7 years now, and working hard and spending a lot of money and going a lot of places, and trying to figure out how to make a living doing it, what I've arrived at is the first thing you need to do is get real clear about what you want to do. So that if you don't make much money for a while, at least you're doing something that's fun to do. Don't go, get clear about what you want to do, and then do that, and then work in that area, and you'll build something in that area. Don't try to do what I did, which was force her to do realism which she really doesn't want to do.
Yeah.
And we didn't sell it anyway.
He forced me to
And
do
she was
reels.
unhappy about it. She was not only were we not selling anything, but she wasn't having any fun. So I mean, you know, as an artist,
No, I was embarrassed about what I was doing. Carter thought it was great. I hated it.
oh, I like those things. She doesn't like them. So, I mean, there's no sense in doing something you don't like, especially if you're an artist. If you're an artist, you got to do what you want and be prepared to starve. But you won't starve. Over a period of time, you will evolve into your market, and that's what we're doing now. We're over a period of time. I mean, Teza sold a painting for $4,000 last month.
Really?
Yeah, and she gets
Incredible.
two. And it was one of those.
Painting.
But you know, it was one of those angel
Yeah,
paintings.
that.
It was one of those angel paintings.
I know, it's funny. So
Wait,
It was part of the angel
everything you
painting.
do comes back to you.
is it one of these in
Wasn't one
there?
of these, no. But
No.
she sold 3 out of this series 2 years ago for about $2,500 to $3,000 a piece.
Really?
And then she sold those angel cards, the angel ones with the which you've seen, I think, with the airplane and the angels flying around the airplane.
No.
That house somehow got in a magazine out in Santa Fe when she was having her show.
Really?
But your show is this stuff now, which is all abstract and and not real. There's a
Yeah.
realistic attitude to it, but I mean, and we're still trying to find good places for her to sell this stuff. I mean, and it's going to take another 5 or 10 years is what it's going to take.
Really?
But she's got a good gallery. She's got a good gallery in New Orleans.
Uh-huh.
She's had shows in Monterrey, Mexico.
Right.
She's had 2 shows in Santa Fe, which is the best place in the world. Second best art center in the United States.
Right.
She's had a show in New York.
Yeah.
She's working on her Miami thing, and we're.
This is the one
Wow.
that was
Here-
sold.
here-
Oh
here's
yeah,
the
I
one
did. Yeah, I
that
do
sold.
have that.
This is the one
That's
that
right.
sold for $4,000. One of the realisms,
Is that right?
which goes
Wow.
to prove my point that realism sells a lot better than it's supposed to.
And that's not really even realism. I mean, you would call that kind of, surreal, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, and our attitude is that we want to do the paintings first, and then we'll find a way to sell them.
Right.
And we ain't worrying about whether they sell or not. The hell with it, we're making a living doing something else. But
Right.
some people try to figure out how to sell the stuff, and they put these things out for a couple $100, $200 or $300, and hell, that's a good way. I mean, if I was a painter, that's what I'd do. I'd paint landscapes, and I'd sell those suckers on the roadside for $150, $200 a piece.
And you'd be an art whore.
No, I wouldn't, because I like that stuff. It turns me on.
God.
Whatever turns you on, turns you on. There's no such thing as an art whore. You're only an art whore if you're painting something for money that you don't like. I
Yeah.
mean, if you like birds and I happen to like birds, and I like
I would puke.
houses and stuff, but Teza can't do that.
No.
And my mother couldn't do that either. My mother used to make fun of the flamingos. She said, "Look at the flamingos." But I like flamingos, and I can tell you this: 99 out of 100 people like flamingos, and especially for $100.
Yeah.
Nobody likes something they can't understand what the hell it is for $6,000. There's only 1 out of 1,000 of those guys. But if you ever do get selling stuff that nobody understands for $6,000, a couple of years from then it'll be $16,000. And the more you make it that they don't understand, the higher the dough. But you gotta get there, and you either gotta be lucky like a Frank Stella or somebody, or you gotta give your whole life to it, and over a period of time, 15, 20 years or whatever, you got to get a break. And what'll happen is she just keep poking along doing this stuff and keep poking along, and one day some big art collector will come in and see this and say, "Wow, that's dynamite!" Plunk down $6,000, put it in his collection, and all the lemmings will see that, and he'll have set the tone, and boom, she's off to the races. I mean, that's how that works. I mean, this world is the most hype world, and the most, it's a hype. Most of it's a hype, and it's like people don't have confidence in their taste, and they don't know, and it's all fads, mostly fads. I mean, most of the
Like the
artwork.
fad that's going on now. It's about realism. I mean, yeah, sure, if I wanted to make lots of money, I could just jump on bandwagon and start painting realistic stuff, my stuff would sell. But that would be what I consider like a cop-out. And then a couple of years from now, when the fad changes, then if I have to change, then everybody got my number, then I'm just like, you know, a faddist. And people see that. People follow art trends. People follow artists. They follow their careers, and they see whether or not they change or not, just because a fad comes along.
Right.
And then you're just not considered a high caliber, truly original, innovative artist. Then you're just what they call a derivative artist. You're just copying people.
Yeah.
So it's a whole
Good
business.
stuff.
It's a whole
This
business.
is real good stuff.
And it's just like actors. Most of the people that are out there painting ain't selling their paintings, but a handful of them are selling them for $100,000 a pop. And all the people that are not selling their paintings want to be selling theirs for $100,000 a pop. It's just like being an actor. You know, there's 99% are not making, 1% that are driving the 99% to work hard that ain't. But there's a lot of information about it now. There's a lot of places to sell art. It just depends on what your niche is, and you can do it. And so I would say press on. Get clear about what you want to do, and make a methodical approach and a plan. Have faith in your vision and your talent, and day by day do the things that will put you in the front of the people that buy in that market, and over time you will build a career, and you may build a great career.
In close? Okay, I'm in close.
Sweet smell of an old friend. Listen to that bullfrog out there. Where's Bobby? Where's Bobby? This here.
Let me get this under the light.
Famous slap your granny onions.
Back up a little bit so we get some light on this. All right.
These are called onions carter, fresh out of the ground.
Yeah.
3 days ago, these were in the ground,
Whoa.
picked just south of the phosphate mines in Duet, Florida, Sarasota.
Yeah.
See these?
Yeah. What is it? All right. What do you got there?
See these?
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, really? Really? Beans, though. The beans part.
Onions carter.
Look at this.
Beautiful beans. Snap beans.
Yeah. Yeah. Where'd you get these?
These came.
Oh, melt in your mouth.
Oh, you love it.
Oh, melt in your mouth. Oh, fabulous.
You eat these beans. Ready to take some back practice.
Make your mind.